Lions TV, this is your midweek roundup show. We're going to look back at a few things that's happened already this week. As always, it's been a busy week so far in SE16 and we're only halfway through it. We're going to look back at last night's 6-2 win on the road against Sutton, which was a majority of our second string side, as well as a couple of other bits in this video. Let's start with last night and the start 11 against Steve Morrison's Sutton United. It was Bender in goal, Alfie Doherty left back. It was Wes Harding right back, central defence pairing of Kamal Grant and Jake Cooper. It was Billy Mitchell returning from injury in the centre of midfield with Massimo Luongo. It was Aziz on one wing, Idemo Maku on the other, and up front as a lone striker, Macaulay, Langstaff. Some very, very good players in there and a big bench as well. Rested from the squad completely was Ivanovic, Tanganga, Kundal, Kramer, Denor and Leonard. So they were just given a rest because I think they'll play Saturday at the Den, our last friendly, of course, before the season starts. And I think on Saturday you get more of a sense of what potentially Alex Neil's start 11 could be the following week against his former club, Norwich, in the Championship opener at Carrow Road. So all those players are rested. I'm going to cover quickly Doherty. Someone said to me this morning, one of my mates, was that clickbait? I don't clickbait social media posts. There's no point in that. I genuinely put a voice note into our group and I said, is it Doherty or is it Doughty? And the person that shall remain nameless, who I call my researcher, he's not our researcher, he's just a mate of mine. He doesn't do videos, but he loves it. Always sends me rumours, always sends me bits and articles, and I get my videos from there quite a lot of the time. He knows everything. He really knows his football, really knowledgeable. And he said, it's Doherty. And I said, Doherty? What, as in, like, said the same as John Doherty? He went, yeah. Turns out it wasn't Doherty, Doughty or Doherty, it's Doherty. So yeah, apologies for that one. Genuinely wasn't clickbait. I don't know why it would be. Why would I make myself look stupid when I don't have to? I'm good at that without having to pretend. So it is Doherty, and whatever his name is, my God, he looks like a really good player. Again, I will say yes, of course, it's only Sutton United. They are non-league, but he just looks like a class act on the ball, set 2 goals up, and looks like he's going to fit straight in and take us again to a new level. He played at left back last night, of course, in the absence of Joe Bryan and still Zach Sturge. Bryan's out a little more long-term, I believe, or we've heard through certain rumours, maybe. I don't want to get myself in any trouble and misquote. But yeah, Bryan didn't travel to Spain, so I'm assuming his injury is probably worse than Zach Sturge's. Zach Sturge's not quite there yet on his fitness. So I think that Doherty, and I might say Doherty, and I might say Doughty throughout this video, bear with me. I think Doherty is going to be more of an attacking player, but I think if Zach Sturge isn't back fit, well, actually, regardless of whether Sturge will be or won't be, I think you'll see him play left back in the opener at Carrow Road. But he was very good at coming forward and creating. I said he created 2 goals, and he's sort of, if he does play full back, he wants to knock it in to Aziz, who will be on that left-hand side on the opening day, in my opinion, and get beyond him and join in despite doing his defensive duties. So really impressive of him, really, really good signing. And going through the team in general, Bender made one good save, really friend. I think Wes Harding, I've said this before, I've defended Harding in the past when other people have said, no, he's dodgy, get rid of him. He had a bit of a shaky spell when we were struggling under Joe Edwards, didn't he? Scored an own goal or 2, one definitely at the Den. I think when we got thumped by someone 3 or 4-0. But I think he's solid. I think Harding, no matter who he plays against, I think he can do a job. And Millwall actually put something out on their Millwall TV Plus. They mic'd him up during training, and he was very, very vocal, encouraging the young players, instructing them so they can learn from him. And I think not just that side of it, I still think he's got a lot to offer. He played really well at Palace as well, didn't he? In the FA Cup, he scored the goal. But that side, I think he's solid. Leads away was good. And again, yes, it's only Sutton, but last night, I just think he's just a solid, experienced, fit, clued up professional, and I think he's got a lot to offer still in his team, despite maybe some people thinking that he hasn't. Cooper put his boots on the wrong feet last night. I love Coops. I've always defended him, always praising him. Millwall legend. He's been, I think it's 9 years at club, posted the other day. Wasn't one of his greatest games, but the other side of that, saying that Harding played well and Cooper potentially not so, get the Ricks out in pre-season, get rid of them all, and then be ready for the opener on the opening day, like I said, against Norwich. Kamal Grant, yeah, he does all right. And the good thing is now we've got all these players. He set the last guy up, didn't he, for Coburn? I'll get there in a minute. We've got all these youngsters now, like Lamps who come on, who's really impressive, like Howland, like Kamal Grant, amongst others. It's a shame we're probably not going to get to see much of them during the season. What I would do, I'm not the gaffer, obviously, it would be nice to see them involved in Carabao Cup matches. Maybe have one team for the Carabao Cup, because obviously you can't put 11, whatever we had on the bench, 10 players on the bench, as we did last night, probably even more. You have to have, I think it's 7 now in the champ. So a lot of them are not going to get game time, but it would be nice to let them loose in the Carabao Cup. We're probably not going to win the Carabao Cup, let's be realistic. So maybe a little run in that would be nice. I'll get on to who we're playing shortly. If you don't know, that ended up in absolute chaos. So last night, Macaulay Langstaff, he goes and does a Nisbet. I'm going to call it a Nisbet because Kevin Nisbet, if you don't know, I'm sure you do, scored a hat-trick at Sutton in his first pre-season at the club. And I've been urging Macaulay Langstaff. I think I've never seen our fans so happy for one player as when he finally broke his duck at the Den. And then I've been in a million times before. It didn't work out for him for whatever reason. He got pushed down the pecking order. He went out the side. He works really hard, and I really want it to work for Macaulay Langstaff at Millwall, but it just hasn't happened. Last night, 25-minute hat-trick. Let's get into the goals. The first one was a good team goal. Dowsey with the assist, a really, really good ball, finds a brilliant run of Langstaff, who's in on goal. He takes it away from goal, and then he's got a little bit of work to do, but he puts it high into the net, past the goalkeeper. Not long after that, it's 2-0. Corner comes in, couple of headers to keep it alive, shall we say, and he swivels and turns and hits it in one motion, fires it past the Sutton goalkeeper, and the third one would have been the easiest of the three, especially with the confidence he would have already given himself in the first two. Aziz turns him over when they're trying to play at the back, and Macaulay Langstaff just passes it into an empty net. So we're 3-0 up, and at that point I genuinely thought this could end up 10. Like, it looked that bad for Sutton and Steve Morrison, but they got to grips with it and they score a goal. Ball over the top. Cooper doesn't deal with it, so Bender starts to come out. I don't know what Cooper's doing, but like I said, get these ricks out in pre-season, and it's sort of Bender then gets caught in no man's land, and the forward gets in, stabs it past him. That's 3-1. Then they come alive a bit, Sutton. I'm going to try and not be negative in this video because after the shitstorm won a few places yesterday, but I'll have to be honest, so I'll tell you. I think that, they got the confidence and they come at us, and it happened again after they scored their second goal in the first half. At this point, it's 3-1 that I'm talking from. We looked a bit shaky at the back last night. It's the shakiest we've actually looked, in my opinion, in pre-season at the back. I thought we looked really solid, especially against Elche when they had a lot of the ball. Other than a couple of individual mistakes, they had the ball. We looked very structured. We looked very disciplined in our approach and our positioning, and we moved around a pitch as a unit. Last night, I don't know whether it's because it was just a goal fest and the players may have dropped their level slightly because of who he's playing, but we looked a bit of a shambles at the back at times, and they could have scored more. One of their strikers nearly gets it back to 3-2. Brilliant technique from him on the ball as he strikes across it, sort of across the ball, and it's flying into the far corner, and Bender turns it around the post. They had another chance where one of their players definitely should have scored. Bender does well again. He comes out, he spreads himself, narrows the angle, and he puts it wide, but he should definitely be hitting the target and working the keeper at least. So we go in at half-time, 3-1. I think a couple of subs were made right at the start of the second half. Lampsey definitely come on because I was impressed with him. He seems to be almost a Jimmy Abdul type character. Works very hard, but he seems to have them long legs that's got a good reach on him as well, and he gets his foot in when you probably least expect him. Billy Mitchell's an engine as well, but I don't know, he seems a bit different to Lampsey. Billy Mitchell's very quick and will get around the pitch and fly into tackles. Lampsey will do all those things, but he seems like he's he'll sort of get there when you're least expecting him to. He's got a good reach on his legs, and he sort of gallops around the pitch effortlessly. So impressive him last night. Again, hopefully he'll get game time in the Carabao Cup in the first round, which I'll cover in a minute. So then it goes to 4-1. I've had to write this down. I don't usually write stuff down, but I've had to recap the goals and write it down because there was goals flying in all over the place. 4-1. It comes again from a Dowsey assist. This time I think on his right foot, I'm pretty sure it was him that knocked the ball over. And a Maku pastes the burn, gets beyond the defender. Then he controls the ball, gets back inside the defender and fires a brilliant shot into the far corner. Then Sutton score again. I can't really remember what happened, if I'm honest. I remember it at the time thinking that was really sloppy, that. Really, really sloppy goal. We should have done better to defend it, but we didn't. It's 4-2. And then they had a couple more chances again, letting teams back in once we conceded. And being on the rocks, we see that quite a lot. So hopefully that's something we can iron out before the season starts. And Maku then, this time it comes from a loose ball from a Sutton player, and he scores almost an identical goal. Keeper gets his hand on this one, but he scores that goal. And then the icing on the cake is Coburn. Really good run from Kamal Grant, powers through the middle. Great through ball for Coburn, who shows composure, takes it round the goalkeeper and rounds it off for 6-2. When was the last time he scored 6 goals? I can't remember. I saw the question get put out, I think, by social media. Might have been Jake Sanders, might have been Richard Cooley. But the one I thought of was when Harry Smith scored a hat-trick. We won the FA Cup on a Sunday, but I don't think it was 5-2. Was it 6? Was it 5? Someone let me know in the comments. I'm sure you will. I don't mind being wrong. We've learned that. So, yeah, look, great performance. Well, great entertainment, shall I say. Great spectacle to watch. But a little bit worrying about the defensive work. Now, this cover, Langstaff, and less cover, Amaku. At half-time, and I've been very, very positive about Adam Amaku, really rating him when he come in. I got frustrated when he wasn't getting game time. But I'm going to be completely honest here. At half-time last night, I put in our group chat, do you know what? I'm getting to the point now where I'm swaying towards what other people are saying about Amaku. At times, he always looks exciting on the ball, but he looks very rash with his end product, and he's not quite there. Even when last season he creates stuff for us and he causes mayhem and upset, it's never really with a crisp ball. It's sort of a ball that's not quite where it's gone or supposed to have gone, and it might take a little nick or two off a defender or win us a corner. And I was getting to the point last night where I'm like, yeah, do you know what? I don't think it's going to happen for Amaku. Then he goes and does that. To cover in Langstaff and Amaku, it's going to sound harsh, but it's just my honest opinion, and I've seen other people say it anyway, so I'm not digging players out. I'm not trying to spread negativity. I just give my opinions. If you don't like them, carry on scrolling. Right, so, Langstaff, in the nicest possible way, I'd love for him to work out at Millwall, and I'd love all players to work out at Millwall on that basis. You know, if we do well and the team's doing well and the manager's doing well and we ain't got a shit goalkeeper, which we haven't now, then it's positive. We can go up. And if we go up, the channel gets bigger. That's brilliant for me. So I don't want to spread negativity or anything like that. But on the basis, in the nicest possible way, I don't think you'd see Langstaff score a hat-trick against a championship side like that. I think he scored a hat-trick last night against Sutton because potentially that League 2 and maybe League 1 are his level. You know, he's not gonna score those goals against the championship sides. He does get in those positions. Weirdly, he did it against Crystal Palace in pre-season. I think it was Northampton as well. No, they're not Premier League or Championship. But he's not going to get those goals, in my opinion, at Championship level. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that sparks him off and he goes on to score 25 goals and we get to the Premier League. But I don't think it's going to happen. Amaku, slightly different kettle of fish. I'm torn a little bit. Would Amaku have scored both those goals in the Championship? We've seen him do it at Norwich, actually. Back early at the end of last season or the season before, was it? When we lost there, I think 3-1. He came off the bench, he scored a good goal. I think he's got it in him. I think it's more of a confidence thing than an ability thing with Amaku, and I hope that does spark him off. But he's not going to be starting, I don't think, anyway, when the Championship does kick off, even with that double last night. So, as great as it was to see us score 6, 3 for Langstaff, 2 for Amaku, and of course 1 from Coburn. But of course we're not talking about Coburn because he has got that Championship quality, in my opinion. I don't think those boys would do that in the Championship. I could be proven wrong, especially by Amaku, but I don't think I am. But look, it's not a bad thing. Goals going in, confidence in players. Confidence breeds confidence. It's a good thing for the squad. But if I've got to be brutally honest, and it might sound harsh, but this is it. I'm just being honest with you. I don't think they score those 5 goals against a team from our division. But a good spectacle, nonetheless, for those that did travel to Sutton. And we move on to this Saturday's game. But before that, of course, if you don't know, I'll say of course, last night, the Carabao Cup, we are going to play either Barnet or Newport in the first round proper. There's a preliminary round. I'm not sure why that is or if that's ever happened before. But that fixture took place last night and Barnet were 2-0 down at half-time. Of course, the annoying thing is I'm thinking of actually going to Newport before last night if they got through to tip the ground up. I've been to Barnet a few times in pre-season and sure, Carabao Cup one year, we were beaten 4-0 in midweek. I think Fred Onyedinma might have scored that night. But I'm thinking, please, Barnet just win so I don't actually fucking go to Wales on a Tuesday. And Newport were looking good for the win. 2-0 up at half-time. Barnet have scored in the 97th and the 99th minute and took the game straight to penalties. But the dream was crushed once again for the Bees. They play at the Hive. Is their name the Bees? Fuck knows. Well, that's Brentford. Anyway, Newport won the game. So we will travel to Newport in the first round of the Carabao Cup. It is the game, I'm pretty sure, directly after Norwich on the opening day of the season. There's the date on the screen. I couldn't actually remember it. I think it might be the 12th, but you've seen the graphic now. Anyway, we will play Newport County away in the first round of the Carabao Cup. So why not involve Lamptey? Why not involve Kamal Grant? Why not involve Jack Howland, amongst others? I think it would be really good for him. Get the goalkeeper in goal. Get George Evans in or Jacob Presnetsky. Definitely got his name again wrong, I know, but I will keep doing that, unfortunately. That's just part and parcel. Once I'm filming, I'm not going to re-edit an entire fucking video for saying someone's name wrong. So, yeah, there you go. That's what I would like to see happen. And then, that team last night that beat Sutton, with a lot of those youngsters in it, that should be knocking over Newport, in my opinion. If they don't, they don't. If they do, that would be, if I was Alex Neil, say, right, I'm going to give you the opportunity. There you go. Go and win the game. You've got more first team experience because you'll stay in for the next Carabao Cup match. So it'd be good to see. But yeah, we do travel to Newport in the first round of the Carabao Cup. Very early season. The game directly after Norwich on the first day at Carrow Road. So that's that. And of course, we won last night, 6-2. Lots of goals, exciting watch. And now I've learned that our new signing surname isn't Alfie, Doughty, or Doherty. It's Doherty. Alfie Doherty, good player. Looking forward to seeing more of him. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.